Illegal border crossings are at an unprecedented record low under President Trump, with border encounters at just over 30,000, down more than 75% from this time last year. Daily apprehensions at the southwest border are 95% lower than during the Biden administration. But far-left Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is crying foul.
I will acknowledge that what is being reported is that border encounters are lower. I will also say that we know that this administration has not been the most honest when it comes to reporting numbers, as we know that there's now reporting that they've not been honest about the jobs numbers. What I can tell you is that he has invoked a very inhumane way of carrying out immigration. What I also can tell you is that he has not worked through the Congress, and that's what we need is comprehensive immigration reform.
Fox News contributor Jason Chaffetz joining us now. Merry Christmas, Jason. Thanks for joining us. And I am going to keep my cheery Christmas spirit and not lose my ever-living mind when I hear Jasmine Crockett say that the numbers are not what they seem, because I lived it. I spent years at the border, thousands coming across. This is by far the most secure border that we have had in the history of the country. We have not released a single illegal alien that crossed the border into the country for 7 straight months, and yet she wants to challenge the numbers. What do you make of it?
Stupid knows no holiday. I love this holiday. It's one of the best, but this is one of the dumbest people ever to serve in the Congress. And to suggest that the numbers are anything other, she needs more proof of that. Of course, she doesn't have that. President Trump took the mandate from the American people, secured the border. It is more secure than it has ever been before, and he's going to continue to do it. Don't tell us that you need, comprehensive immigration reform. I was in the House of Representatives, and you know what? The Democrats had the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Did they even introduce a piece of legislation? No, they did not, let alone pass anything. So you can cry me those crocodile tears, but that is not the reality of what happened. And if she's got a bill, introduce it. But you know what? We got to lock down that border, get rid of the rewards and incentives, say no to amnesty. All of these things Donald Trump is doing. That's why he got elected. And that's why she's just going to be somebody on YouTube once upon a time. Nothing more.
You're so right. It's the mandate that the American people voted for. You know, on the one hand, Jason, it's offensive to the men and women in green of the Border Patrol that have secured and continue to keep this border secure, and the ICE agents, the men and women in blue in the interior, removing violent criminal aliens at a record pace. But then when she leans into comprehensive immigration reform, it takes us back to when the previous administration, President Biden, DH Secretary Mayorkas, telling us that there's nothing to see here. There's no crisis at the border, while we watched it unfold right before our eyes in real time. And the President Biden saying that he couldn't do any more. There was nothing more he could do. He needed Congress to act. Turns out that was wrong. President Trump did it without any legislation.
Yeah, we just needed a president in President Trump, and we needed leadership to actually get it done. I remember when Kamala Harris, went down to Central America and she said, it's climate change that's causing all this. No, it's because you were giving out free health care, free education, all sorts of bennies to be here illegally. And now we got a mess on our hands because we got tens of millions of people. It's still illegal to be here illegally. So you got to if you came here illegally, you gotta leave. That's what we call restitution in this country. And Democrats may not like, we need comprehensive immigration reform. No, we're going to enforce the current law in the books.
Yeah.
That's the law of the land. And don't do these sanctuary cities. When you're protecting that party, the Democratic Party, and Jasmine Crockett helping to lead it, they do more to protect the perpetrators of crime than the victims of crime, and America knows that.
It's crazy. She's going to have a hard time defending those comments. Meanwhile, I want to shift gears to your previous job in Congress, a committee that you used to oversee, the Oversight Committee, now expanding the probe into the Minnesota fraud. Chairman Comer sending a letter to 7 current and former Minnesota officials asking for written or in-person testimony, threatening subpoenas if they don't comply. A Governor Tim Walz, spokesperson, firing back, calling it a coordinated attack to silence one of Trump's most effective critics. But yet we know an estimated $9 billion was stolen by scammers. Compare that to Somalia's GDP. It's just under $12 billion. And so much of this fraud is just now being uncovered. What do you say to this oversight committee and Chairman Comer really leaning into this?
Listen closely to what the spokesperson said. It's President Trump and the House Republicans that are trying to silence one of the most... They're not trying to silence him. They're trying to get him in front of a microphone. He can talk all day long, but he's going to have to raise his right hand. He's going to have to do it under oath, and he's going to have to answer some questions, provide some documentation. That's what we call oversight in this country since its founding in 1814. James Comer, as the chairman, is doing a spectacular job. He's got to yank them. And I don't think this ends in Minnesota. I think when we go to Illinois and California and some of the others, big, Baltimore, these types of things, I think we're going to see this is pretty widespread. The numbers are stunningly large.
You are on point, Jason. Yesterday, I interviewed a New York assemblyman that says that Governor Hochul may soon have a problem with fraud here in New York. We'll see where it goes. Jason Chaffetz, thank you for taking time, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Griff. Thank you.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.